Alright guys, here it is. Got a cool little autograph here. That was cool. I dig that. But yeah, let's take a look at it. Okay, so what's in the box is parts list, nothing fancy, foam, and motor. Alright, now let's open her up. Alright, Alpha 28 RTR. Initial impressions, looks great. Yeah, definitely looks good. Let's I'm gonna pause for a second and then let's open this up. All right, got her apart. Now let's start with the crankcase. So it has very similar cuts to like the axial. The metal feels, the finish on it's a little different. It's kind of like a rough finish on the aluminum. Steel bearing up front. Steel bearing rear. Now our exhaust is port matched. The inside looks great. I know you guys probably can't see that well, but you know, nicely oiled. This is kind of interesting. I've never seen a cut like this yet for a carb. It's got kind of a squared hole in there. It's interesting. Yeah, it looks great. I do see a little slight defect in the corner there. Let's see if I get my camera to focus. It won't focus. Yeah, you can see a small defect there on both corners. Even on the top corner there and right there, all four corners has a small defect. But it looks good. So there's our case. All right, now let's look at our back plate. So our back plate is a special back plate for the rotostart. It appears to have a insert. It is non-interference, but it looks great. I'm happy to see an O-ring. So the seal is going to be good, or you'll at least be able to change out that O-ring to fix it. It's got kind of a rainbow metallic look to the front here, which is crazy. Never seen that before either. But nice, very nice. It is a internal one-way bearing. It's only got one groove for the crank there, so that's interesting. I've never seen a bearing like this yet. It looks like you might be able to press the bearing out and press a new one in if you ever need to replace it. So that's interesting. Starter shaft, very basic, standard, nothing fancy about the starter shaft. Here is the rotostart mechanism. I did notice that it did have a little bit of grease in there. Pulling the thing out, a little bit of grease, not a whole lot. I'll probably add some more just for safety, just for proper lubrication. But a really cool, it's cool to see the motor come with this. You can go at it from here or up here. Really neat. Not sure what that little tab's for, but interesting nonetheless. Real cool. Cooling head. It is, marked with the Alpha, the A28. Real neat. So I'm not seeing any kind of line in it. So I believe this would be machined from one piece. Definitely doesn't look like a cast. It's cut, you know, cut for cooling. You can see there it is directional. Oh, I guess it's not directional. All four corners have the, you know, the cut through fins. I am only seeing one head shim, and it is notched for the screws. So you definitely got to be careful, you know, putting that back together. I do see, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, one little teeny nick there in the burn room. A few little scratches, but nothing major. But there are a couple little nicks in it. And it appears to be just a 0.01 head shim. Now, carburetor. Carburetor is a aluminum. It does appear to have a plastic insulator. So that's always good to see. Love to see that. It looks like you could buy Venturis. It looks like it would accept, you know, some form of Venturis. The carb is not marked. I'm not sure what that screws for, or if that just holds it together. You know, that's interesting. But to my knowledge, it's just a 2-needle. I don't think that's an actual tuning needle. I believe it's just a 2-needle carb. It is a long, low-speed needle carb. Metal banjo fitting. It's actually a really nice carb. You know, I mean, I always prefer the plastic carbs, but at least it's got the plastic insulator here. That's neat. But yeah, nice carb. It did come with a metal pinch bolt. That's interesting. You know, maybe I've just never noticed, but I've never seen one like this before. I think that's kind of cool. Different. Okay, now for our meat and potatoes. Let's look at this crank. So this crank is, you know, very opened. It's not filled, unfortunately. But it looks good. I mean, they trimmed it away, they edged it. You know, the cutting edge, they've edged, well, I guess they've edged both sides. But it looks good. There's a little hole in here, I would imagine, to lubricate the bearing. That's kind of cool. Never seen that before. Fluid seal front. You know, just a generic crank, nothing fancy here. You know, it is grooved here, but it looks great. The machining on it is great. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the camera, but it looks absolutely amazing. Nice crank. You know, obviously it could use some work done to it, you know, shark fin, you know, etc., but you know, for just an RTR engine, that's a really beautifully machined crank, I got to say. Okay, our piston has 3 oil grooves. It is a flat topped piston. It looks nice. I'm not seeing, I mean, very minimal marks in it. There are a couple of marks right there, like where it was when it was assembled, but nothing damning. This is definitely a cast piston. You can tell by the inside that this was cast for sure. The connecting rod, it is a double bushing. There, I can see a bushing up in there. There's a bushing at the bottom. It is knife edged. You know, this is actually pretty big. This looks really, really good. It's got the oil holes. Really nice, you know, piston and connecting rod for your average RTR engine. And then let's have a look at our sleeve. So one thing I noticed right off the bat is that even the sleeve has the marks for the screws. That's interesting. It almost looks like there's a built-in head shim. You can see the groove like it's two different tops, but it's not. It's one piece. Okay, let's start at the intake. So our intake is ramped very, very nicely. Looks great. To our Schnurly ports, so it's ever so slightly fanged there. They, you know, just nick the edge, but it is angled up towards the front. You know, just kind of the angle of the port. Our little baby port here, it's fanged really well. Looks really nice. Once again, that port is also angled towards the front. Our exhaust port here, it is domed at the top. It's got the little dog ears. It's super wide. Not ridiculously tall. The axial engine that I have is a lot bigger of an exhaust port. And then as far as the inside, it looks great. I see no scratching, no scoring. All I see is oil. It looks great. So you guys, if you're interested in picking up one of these alphas, you can get it from lutzrc.com. That's where I got this one. And you know, thanks for checking out the video, of course. If you have not signed up on my Facebook group, please do so. It is Nitro RC Life, you know, on Facebook. It's just a page. Join in the conversation. Let me see your builds. I want to see what you guys are working on, and you know, let's have some good conversation about Nitro RC or RC in general. Thank you guys.